have suits that I didn't wear in 5 years because I lost a lot of weight.
There you go.
Yes, Rav Aaron, from cycling and the tight pants.
I didn't say anything.
I said it before you.
I was going to start off with Aaron Zeller now, but I'm changing.
Oh boy, the preemptive strikes are starting.
I didn't say anything.
Okay, so let's go. Yeah, we're on the bottom of Mem Dalet Amud. Right, we should have gone to the Mishna, but we're running late. Okay, mitzvos lulav ketzad, right? How do you have the mitzvah of lulav? Is that what is it? Did I just? Yeah.
Yes.
Right, so that's what they did is they brought the lulavim and they put them on the benches in the Beis Hamikdash on Shabbos. Right, that's what the Mishna said. Right, so the Gemara asks, Tani Tana Kamed Rav Nachman Soidin Al Gav. Well, first the Gemara says a statement. Tani Tana Kamed Rav Nachman Soidin Al Gag Ha'itzdavo. They put it on top of the roof of the bench. So Amar Lei, so he told them, the option hutzarach. Do they need to dry out the lulavim? Like, why are they putting it down on top of the bench? It doesn't mean on the roof of it. It means on the back of the bench, meaning on the benches themselves. Right? Yeah.
Are we supposed to understand these Gemaras? If everybody had a lulav, so supposedly 1 million people came to the Mikdash. So they gave 1 million lulavim to the Gaboyim, and then Yontif morning the Gaboyim threw them all out to everybody. What is it talking about?
I mean, how did they have so much room?
Whatever you want to say.
Yeah.
Where are we holding?
We're on the top now. We're on the top of Mem Hamanal. Yeah, so I don't know. I'm saying, were they putting it on the benches? How many benches could there possibly have been? Right? Say that the Beis Hamikdash stretched just like by Pesach. No,
I don't understand Psachim, and I don't understand this. Fine, okay, it's fine.
You know what? But at least you understand what you don't understand, right? That's already a madrig. It's one thing not to understand, right? As long as we understand what we don't understand, it's already
fine.
Yeah. Fine. Okay, so Amar Rachav, Amar Rav Yehuda, Harabayis, Stov Kafel Hoya, right? They had 2 benches, Stov Lefnim Stov, one bench in front of another bench, right? So I guess maybe that adds it adds more room to put lulavim, right? If you had 2 rows of benches for it, yeah. Anyway, okay, so that's what the Gemara said. So Zog the Mishnah, yeah, mitzvos arava ketzad. So what was the mitzvah of the rava? So finally we get into mitzvahs arava ketzad. Makam hayi lamatam Yerushalayim. There was a place below Yerushalayim, Nikra Matza, right? It still exists right before Yerushalayim, right? There's an exit Matza. Rabban, you go there, no
more. Garrett destroyed the mikveh. It was such a beautiful zach. They destroyed it. So they had a Machlokes with somebody. So a whole bunch of Garrett Brachim 10 years ago just destroyed the whole thing. It was so gorgeous, fantastic, mamish fantastic.
That's where Taka. It's
which mikveh?
It was a natural mikveh. Matza was a natural mikveh. The island used to go there. Mendel would buy me a bag of barekas from Berman's. He would have cigars with his friends. I would be eating barekas. Mechaya, mamish a mechaya. There was some guy, parents, there were some guys with mashka also. It was so gavaldic, you have no idea. And these Mishagoyim Gera guys killed it. You had taxi drivers pulling up. You had wrestler guys who still had that tattoos. It was a geschmack. It was a geschmack place.
Where was it?
So
in Matza. It's on
Matza. That's what it's saying. The reason why the
highway one coming before you hit Har Nov, coming from on the highway 1 from Tel Aviv, just before you get to Har Nov.
The reason why that the aravos grew in Matza is because there was a lot of water there.
Yeah.
Since there was a lot of water there, so that made the aravos grow. So anyway, so they would go down to Matza, Yarden Lasham, Umelaktin Misham, Umurbriyas Shel Arava. They would go take branches of aravos, and then they would take them and stand them up on the sides of the Mizbeach. I think Aaron Kaplan posted pictures of this on the chat. For Rashbi and Kfufin al Gabi Mizbeach, and what they did, and the Gemara is going to discuss how this worked. For Rashbi and Kfufin al Gabi Mizbeach, and the tops of the aravos were folded over on top of the Mizbeach, and then Taku V'riu V'taku, and they took tekiyas and shuas and tekiyah, which Taisa says, which is interesting. I don't know what Taisa is really getting at. The third Taisa, there's not very often that you get a 2-word Taisa. Yeah, so we're mechuyev to do it just for that. Right? The third Taisa is down. Taku V'riu V'taku is mishum simcha. Because they were so happy, so they were doing tekiyas, shuas, tekiyas. I'm assuming he means as opposed to Rosh Hashanah, where the tekiah true and tekiah is not from simcha, right? That's what I would think. Anyway, so b'chol yom, makibinam mizbeach hamachas. Every day they went around the mizbeach one time, which is exactly what we do by the davening. Every day of Sukkot we go around the Hashanahs once. V'ayim on Hashem Hashiana, on Hashem Matzichana. V'yudayim ani v'hay Hashiana, right? Which Rashi says ani v'hay is the gematria of Ana Hashem. So I don't clearly understand this. If you're doing the gematria on Hashem, so why not just say on Hashem? Right? Okay, whatever it is, 2 different versions. And Hashanah Rabbah, they went around 7 times, which is what we do. Shas Petiros, and when they came time to leave, right? What was they say? Like sort of the Milas chag. So what did they say? Yaifi l'cha mizbeach, yaifi l'cha mizbeach. The mizbeach is beautiful to you, mizbeach is beautiful to you. Lezer Omer lay l'ka u'lecha mizbeach, l'ka u'lecha mizbeach. To Hashem and to you is the mizbeach, to Hashem and to you is the mizbeach. Which the Gemara is going to ask about exactly what these mean, what these things mean. So kimaseo b'chol, kach maseo b'Shabbos. In the same way they did it during the week, so they did it on Shabbos too. Right? Going back to the previous sugya that we saw at the end of last week, that if the 7th day fell on Shabbos, then we would doicha Shabbos for the 7th day, not any of the other days. But when it fell on Shabbos, they would go gather the branches on Erev Shabbos, and they would put them into barrels, golden barrels, yeah, full of water. Today, Rashi says they were full of water. Today, Shalayich says that they wouldn't get dried up. They did this on Friday, and then they took them out of the barrels on Shabbos. He says that they would bring branches of palm trees, and they would hit them on the ground on the side of the Mizbeach. Right, that was done on Hashanah Rabbah. And that day they called it the beating of the hitting or the beating of the branches. Right, which is again that's the source for what we do on Hashanah Rabbah. We don't do deka, we do the aravos, but that's where that minute comes from. Miyad tinoikos shamtinas lulavim. This is an interesting way how to translate it. Interesting Machlokes. So does it mean miyad tinoikos shamtinas lulavim? That's the way Rashi learns. From the hands of the children. Right, the adults would grab the lulavim from the hands of the children, and then they would eat their esrogim. Okay, and Taisus learns that miyad means immediately. They did this, which we're going to see in the Gemara. I don't think tomorrow's about what this means, but a very interesting Rashi here. So what they do? They stole from the kids. They stole the lulav and esrog from the kids. Right, so Rashi, the bottom Rashi in the Mishna, the last Rashi in the Mishna says, it was not considered stealing, and it's not even considered like to keep peace. That was the minig because of simcha. So therefore, you're allowed to steal things from kids because of the simcha. Right? I think, yeah, what are you saying?
No, I mean, so you're allowed to throw wet towels at the shots, and you're allowed to tie up tzitzis. It's mamish often.
I think Yeah, so I don't know what the gather is, exactly what you're allowed to do, what you're not allowed to do, but you see clearly that the Simchas Torah is full of hanagas that seem to be neged the halacha. That's what Rabban's getting at, which Simchas Torah is for Chutz La'aretz, what is Shana Rabo, right? I think, this has got to be part of the source, that because of the Simcha, we waive some of the isru, right?
Is this the Makar for the Mishnah Berurah? Mishnah Berurah by
Purim?
Torah and Purim. Both, we bring them both. Torah and Purim. Has it cost any pasuk from?
I think this is the Makar for it, yeah, because of the Simcha. Yeah, okay, so Zog the Gemara, Tana Makam Klan Yahava. Matza was a place that was, Rashi says that it was free from tax. It was a tax-free haven. The Tana they done my time at Karele Matza. So why was it called Matza? Why didn't they call it Klanya? I did the Mepik Mikarga the Malka Karele Matza. Because it went out from the taxes of the king. So Karele Matza, it's called it Matza. Matza means, I think what he means, it means to go out, meaning they're potter from paying taxes. They've gotten out of paying taxes, so that's the nickname for it's called Matza.
John, going back to that, what exactly are they stealing from the kids? The lulav and the esrog are useless.
The lulav and the esrog, no, they're going to eat the esrog. It says they eat the esrog. We're going to see this. We're going to see
You're breaking up.
I'm breaking up.
You're not breaking up. Not for me, you're not.
All right. Must be a family thing.
No, you're good. You're good.
I'm good. Wow, look at that. Look what a little it takes to be good.
The Haskell
Anyway.
of Loiner.
There you go. What do you call it? What were you saying, Parrots?
No, I was trying to say that maybe because it's the last day Yom Tov, you no longer need the esrog and the lulav anymore. It's not really, what exactly are you stealing? There's no,
Well, it's
worthless. It's worthless.
That's
But
right,
he's saying you
still-
make it for an esrog.
Yeah, an esrog is still a piece of fruit. It's not worth $100 anymore, but it's still a piece of fruit.
So we're gonna in tomorrow's daf, Bez Hashem, it's gonna discuss is muksa, is it not muksa, right? That's a whole thing on Hoshana Rabbah. You know, a lot of women, this thing, they bite off because of Ve'ikar Adin. Pashtus is it shouldn't be done on Hoshana Rabbah because it's still muksa, right? It's muksa lemitzvah. Okay, we'll see that, Bez Hashem. Fine. Right? And they would go and they would hang the aravos down the whole length of the side of the Mizbeach. So here we go back to you, Shtigl, in any case anybody misses it about what's on the Mizbeach, the sizes of the Mizbeach. So Tana, Rabbis v'aruchas, they were a lot of aravos, and they were long. Yeah. The Ranchberg on the side actually changes it from rabbis to rakos, soft. They were soft and they were long, right? Ugvayas, right? Ugvayas achar asar amma, and they were 11 ammas long. I don't know if that's repetitive. They were long and they were 11 ammas high. Kadesha you goyches al mizbeach amma, so that they could be leaning over the mizbeach and amma, right? So in the picture, meaning you have the aravos going up the side of the mizbeach, and then it leaned over one amma to on top of the mizbeach. Yes, we hear from this that they did not leave the bottom of the aravos on the floor of the Beis Hamikdash. It stayed on the base, right? Not on the floor. What does that mean? Because if you say it was mamash on the floor, michti, right? The way it worked is that the bottom of the mizbeach went up one amma high, and then it went in one amma. Right, that was the base. So there was a base, sort of like the Empire State Building, where it's wider on the bottom, and then it starts getting thinner and thinner. So the Mizbeach on the bottom was one amma wide, then Allah Chamesh, then it went up 5 ammas, Bekanas amma, then it went in again another amma. That's what we call the Saiviv, that you could walk around on that ledge. Allah Shalosh, then it went up 3 ammas, Zeu Makam Akronis, and that's where they put the corners on there. So now how are you going to find that they were leaning on top of the Mizbeach if you did it on the floor? Because if you do the math, it's 1 amma up, then 5 amos, and then 3 amos, right? So that would make, one second, plus, one second, did I lose something here? It went up an amma, then went in an amma, so that's 2. And then it went up 5, so that's 7. And then it went in, it's 8. And then it went up 3, so that's 11. So we said that the whole arava is 11 amas long. So how did it go? How did it have the room in the arava to do that 1 amma leaning over the mizbeach? If from the floor it was 11 amas to the top of the mizbeach, so therefore it must be that they left the bottom of it on the base, which means that gave you the extra amma. So shmamino.
That would have been 2.
What do you say?
That would have been 2 almost, because it's 1 up and 1 over.
That would be 1 up. No, because it leaned. You mean it? You're saying that it went against the wall, so therefore it lost 2 amas. It went against the wall of his mizbeach.
1.5, 1.5.
Right, I hear
Would have been
you.
more.
It's slightly longer. You'd say it's slightly longer. I hear.
It is l'shitasa. I mean, he's saying that they were fast enough to go up and in every amma. Otherwise, you could have goychos when it's on the floor. It doesn't travel the same 2 amas in as the mizbeach did. Unless
Right.
the aravos was so soft that they went up, across.
Right, I hear. But I okay, it probably was a little bit longer. But if it went against the outside of that ledge, then it would still be 11 amas, right? Okay, so shmamino, that's what we say that it went on the base. Fine. Amar Rabbo Mikra, what's the pasuk? Right? So Shenema isru chag ba'avosim ad karnas hamizbeach. It says isru chag, isru literally means that you go around on the corners of the Mizbeach, right? Which tells you that the avosim, which is the aravos, have to hit the corners. They hit not the corners. I mean they're on the corners, but it means the pieces that on the 4 corners of the Mizbeach stuck up. Right, so that's how you know that it has to stick up to that height. Okay, so Amar Rabbi Lazar. Anybody who takes a lulav, this is musar for I don't know if it's musar, but it's inspiration as they call it, for taking hadasim and aravos. Whoever takes the lulav when it's in its wrapping, when it's wrapped up, and then it takes the hadasim when it has 3 leaves coming out of each one, meaning halachic hadasim. It's as if you built the mizbeach and you also makar a korban on it. Yeah. So shenemar, how do you know this? On Amud base, because it says isru chag ba'avosim ad karnas hamizbeach. So it's isru chag, right? The tying up of the yom tiv with hadasim ad karnas hamizbeach until the corns on the mizbeach. So you see that it's that bundle of the lulav, hadasim, aravos, etc. is all part of it's also like being on the mizbeach. Amar Rav Yirmiyah Mishum Rav Shimon Yochai, Rav Yochanan Mishum Rav Shimon HaMachuzi, Mishum Rav Yochanan HaMakusi. Whoever makes an isru l'chag, which literally means if you combine the yom tif with achilu shasiyah, which Rashi says it's the same thing, that you have this bundle for the yom tif and you do it with achilu shasiyah, yeah. And some say Rashi. So Rashi says yesh imrim that this means isru chag, what we call isru chag. So the first pshat in Rashi is that it's talking about making proper yom tif, eating, drinking, being happy, right? And the second pshat is isru chag, what we call isru chag. Ma'ilul of akosav kilu b'nam mizbeach v'ikru of korban. Shenever isru chavav arkanas of mizbeach. Right, so I don't know why the Olam doesn't take isru chag and a little bit more serious after this Gemara. According to Rashi, if you make a achila shasiyah, it doesn't say you have to wash, but an isru chag, there should be some chashivas to it. So chassidim wear shtraimelach and the bentches, where the Shabbos digul begadim on isru chag. I don't know why by the Litvish it doesn't seem to have taken hold with anything with isru chag. But hey, if it's as if you're being makrav on a Mizbeach, I think that's a good enough excuse to eat, even if you've stuffed yourself for 2 days before that. But still, we don't need really an excuse. So
I think the guys who all wear ties on Chol Hamoed still wear it on isru chag.
That's because they're fadimian, that maybe they have a shtella starting after the Yom Tov. So no, even those guys.
Byron, even those guys even came into the mikveh with their ties on.
I don't think even those guys don't wear it on the isru chag. I don't know.
But talking about ties, by the way, Tzvi, I remember your father telling us that if you remember, he had a Shabbos somewhere in the mountains, and he spent Shabbos in the woods, and he put his tie on to make kiddush in the woods.
Oh, he met this fellow, not my father.
I thought your father said that
No.
he did it, that he put a tie on.
No. He met this fellow. No, he was camping. I think maybe it's a different Misa, but he met this fellow camping from a town that will not be named. And the guy he's camping, and he goes and puts on his tie for mincha. No, we were there for mincha, I think. They were there for mincha. He goes and he puts on his tie for mincha.
Yeah, that's the story. Yes,
the story. Yeah.
Listen,
So what was the point? Why was he saying it?
Nothing. That the guy took, he put on his tie. So when he's camping in middle of Yehuppitz, he put on his tie. Yes, at a later time, I saw in that campground a Rosh Hashiva on a rowboat with his frock on top of his life jacket. Okay, you can't even make it up. He is a frock on top of the life jacket. Went into the.
It must have been big on him to begin with.
You never know. You never know which paparazzi is taking pictures from the woods. It's going to be in the new five-town Jewish whatever.
No, but the frock must have been big on him to begin with, because
could be.
It's usually fitted. How can you fit it?
Yeah.
Could we say
unless he lost a lot of weight?
Yeah.
Could we say maybe the reason why because of Israel, we don't take it so serious is it's a suffix day, the second day for Americans.
Oh, so you want to? Oh, I hear Avrami. I hear what you're saying. Maybe Avrami is saying that maybe the reason why in Chutz La'aretz we don't take it so serious, because really, it's not. Meaning second isru chag is really second day Yom Tov.
It's a suffix isru chag.
Yeah, it's a suffix isru chag, which we already said that we know kfiyah diyarcha. We know really it's not isru chag. So maybe that's.
Avrami, from a suffix you could also eat a steak. It's not gonna shock. You know what I mean?
I don't need isru chag for that. I need a regular.
Well, I'm trying to, show you. No.
I hear what you're saying. Okay, let's see about this.
Probably even the people who don't eat meat only on days you don't say tachman, they would eat on isru chag.
Yeah,
that would be an afkamina.
Yeah.
If you don't say tachman.
Yeah. That I think everybody. Kulam amayda, you don't say tachman on isru chag.
Okay.
I think so. I would think so. Okay, so
Thursday for sure now.
What?
If it's a Monday and Thursday, everybody might.
100%. So Amar Chizki, Amar Rav Yirmi Yishum Rav Shim B'Yechai, Kalam mitzvos kulan, ein adam yaitz ben ela derech gitilasan. All the mitzvos, right? Which is really referring to the mishkan. Ein adam yaitz ben ela derech gitilasan. It has to go on the way it grows, meaning the way you put right. They cut wood from trees, so you put up the wood for the walls of the mishkan in the way the tree grew. You put them as if it was growing that way. It was growing, from top to bottom. Shenemar atzei shitim oimdim. That atzei shitim should be oimid, should be standing, right? And that's also it says for all mitzvahs, which is interesting because we do the lulav and isru. You're supposed to carry it derech gidulasam. You're supposed to carry it the way it grows. Right? So you hold the lulav at the bottom facing up because that's the way it grows. The big kasha, of course, is the esrog. When the esrog is on the tree, it's the pitum is on the bottom. Right? When you pick the esrog off the tree, the pitum is on the bottom, not on the top. Right? So how come we don't hold the esrog that way? We hold the esrog with the pitum on the top. So the Mishnah Berurah brings that the reason is because when it starts growing, it grows with the pitum up. Then the esrog gets so heavy, it falls over. but that's not derech yedilasan. The way it grows is from the
Orchids,
right? The stem. What are you saying?
Shouldn't every pitum be bent a little bit? There's some pitums that are straight. Then if it
no, it's
it
just,
when it gets heavy and it falls over.
I don't know how that would work exactly.
It grows from the pitum or from the orchids?
No, it grows from the orchids.
Where does it grow from?
From the orchids. It grows from the orchids.
From the orchids, right?
It grows from the orchids. It grows up. The pitum is on the top. Then as the isru grows, it can't hold the weight. The tree can't hold the weight, so it flips over and then it continues growing that way. So that's why we hold the isru from the orchids on the bottom, the pitum on the top, because that's the way it grew. That's why when we said last week, when you take it before you make the bracha, you hold it backwards because that's not the way it grew. Yeah. Child is how come the sukkah walls we don't make sure if you're doing wood, don't go derech yedilasan. Right? So I don't know. Okay, so you put the wood the way it grows. What aimdim means is that they hold up the gold because there wasn't wood in the Beis Hamikdash. They covered it with gold. It was gold plated. So what it means is that the gold attached itself onto the wood. Davar achar, aimdin. What does it mean? Aimdim shema taimar abad sivram abad sikuyan. Maybe when we had this Gemara in where do we have this Gemara? We had this Gemara once before. Maybe in Yuma. I think in Yuma. Shema Yuma. In Erevin we had it.
Yeah, Gilling Shas. I cheated. Okay.
Yeah, but it says Rashi to Yuma, no?
Yuma, 72A, according to Art Scroll.
I don't know, maybe it's Rashi there. It's certainly in Erevin. So yeah. Anyways, so whatever it is, Shema timer Abad Sivram Batasikoy, and since there's no more Mishkan, unfortunately, right? So therefore it doesn't the Rashi says that the way we look towards the Mishkan, then we look for it for hope that there should be Yeshua's for Klal Yisrael. So now there's no longer a Mishkan, so now it doesn't work, doesn't help us. That the wood is aimid, that the whatever schusim we have from the Mishkan are gonna stand up for us forever and forever. Right, so meaning that's what it means to aimid. Yeah, that it's going to, even though unfortunately there's no Mishkan, it's still effective. Obviously, you can't bring korbanos, but whatever other effects that it has, it will still be maintained. I am able to make the whole world potter from din, from the next world. For all the averus from when I was born until now. Meaning, he said, I have enough schusim that I can carry, and I can, because everything, like coming up to Rosh Hashanah, right? So everything goes on a scale. This, what you did, the mitzvos and the averus. So he's saying, I have enough that I could counterbalance everybody in the world. And if Eliezer, my son, was with me, we would be able to cover the whole world from when the world was created until now. And if Yosem ben Uziyo, who was one of the kings of one of the Malchi Yehudim, we would have enough schusim to cover the entire world from when it was created till the end.
How were they so confident in this?
I don't know. I have no idea. I have no idea what
it's not like a little gaiva?
Oh, so
for them to say this?
Yeah, so this was bothering me. So the teretz that I thought about is that there's a Chazon Ish that discusses gaiva. I don't remember where he discusses it, but he says gaiva is not to deny the truth. That's not what gaiva is. Gaiva is pshat when you think that you are the result and you are so great because of it. Meaning, you acknowledge that if a guy's a great basketball player, it's not it's not considered gaiva to say I'm a great basketball player. It's if you
It's a
think you're a
fact.
great basketball player because you're the one that made yourself a great basketball player. That's gaiva. Meaning, if you say Hashem made me into a great basketball player, that's not gaiva. The mitzvah says that you're a great basketball player. What do you think?
Rav Kivega.
So what?
Oila Darshani Barosh.
Right. Oh, yes, yeah, exactly. So, but you have right.
Wasn't that Moshe with Moshe Feinstein? They once asked him, "Is a court case?" They said, "Are you the ultimate authority
No,
in this thing in the world?"
Rabbi Chetzkel Abramsky, not Rav Moshe.
It was Moshe, whoever, right? And he said yes. And he said it was a matter of fact. It wasn't Gaiva.
It was in England. It's not
Right.
Rav Moshe.
Right. Okay, I'm sorry. Right. Sorry, my bad.
So
But
what
the
did he
point
say?
is, it was a matter of fact. They asked him, yeah,
Correct.
Rav Aaron, you say the Moshe.
No, say it.
No, they asked him, are you the foremost authority in this Indian, whatever it was in the world? And he said yes. And
Right.
someone said, isn't that a shtickle gaiva? He said, no, it's not a gaiva. It's a matter of fact. I'm not saying to show off. I'm saying this is a matter of fact.
It was the judge who asked him, Rabbi, aren't you being a bit, whatever word it is? And he said, no, yeah, I swore to tell the truth.
Right. So so it's only gaiva. The way the Chazon Ish explains it, it's only gaiva if you think like koichi baitzim yadi. It's me that made myself into such a great thing. No, the Rabbeinu Shalom made it. That's the Rabbeinu Shalom made it, and that's there's no denying that. It's just when you think that you're the one that did it, so then that's already gaiva. Right there. Well, look at the next line. It's even stronger. Amar Chizki, Amar Rav Yirmiyah Risi b'nei Aliyah v'hein mu'atin. I've seen b'nei Aliyah, and there's very few of them. Right? It's right. It says the people, Rashi says, what Bnei Ali means, the ones that are able to be makabel the Shechina, and there's very few of them. Im elef hein, if there would be 1,000 that would be able to go to the Shechina, me and my son would be part of them. Im meyahem, I and my son would be one of them. Im shnayim hein, and there would only be 2, it would be me and my son. Right? So that's okay. Again, that's not gaiva. The fact of the matter is that they are the ones that would have it. However, for whatever caused them to have it. Yeah. So then,
but if you're the goat, you're the goat. You know it.
You're the goat. That's right. You're the goat. You're the goat. That's the way it is. Right? Goat means greatest of all time for all those that are not aware of what he's saying. Although I heard a word on Shabbos from a brother-in-law of mine who says the Daf Yomi. So remember we had a few weeks ago already, where Rebbe Eliezer always said over B'Shem is Rebbe. And then we said that the smallest Talmud of Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai was Rabbi Yonasan ben Uzziel, and the bird burned, right? He was the least Talmud. Good. So then what about Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai? Right? How did everybody didn't see him? He said he didn't tell me who he saw it from, so I don't know if it was his own part. He said Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai was so great, he knew how to hide that. Right? That's a higher madrega, that you could actually hide how great you are. That's already much higher. So okay, so maybe that can play into this Gemara too. Okay, weiter. Umi zitri kulei high, were there only so few people that would be zeicha to be makabel the Shechina? V'amar Rava timnisri alfei dara hava. He said there were 18,000 rows of people hava the kame kucha barichu that would stand in front of Hashem. So 18,000 is not a few, like Reb Shimon Bar Yochai said. Shenemar saviv shmoina asar aleph. Around, it's surrounded, but it's a pasuk in Yecheskel that is surrounded by 18,000. 18,000. I don't know if they're called neshamas. I don't know what they are. Right? It's talking about Yerushalayim. We have to ayin Rashi exactly what the real pasuk is talking about, but that's what we're learning out from that. So Gemara says loy kasha, and again, this is heavy. This is almost bordering on Kabbalah. Hadam mistakli bespaklaria hameira. Reb Shimon Bar Yochai is talking about those that can see the Shechina with a spaklaria, means like a, I don't know, a telescope, like a
lens. It's a lens.
A lens. Okay, a lens. That's a good touch. A lens.
High definition.
There you go. Very good. HD, right? They get it in HD. They get the Shechina, right, in high definition, right? Meaning there's a mechitza between the Shechina and the people. So is that mechitza see-through or is it not see-through? So he's saying, so Reb Shimon is talking about those that mamash see right through it. And hadaloim is talking about meaning a kosher mechitza or not a kosher mechitza, if you want to put it that way. Right, so he says, the other ones did not get to. They're being makabel the shechina, but they're not getting to see it as clear. So then the Gemara asks, were there only so few people that were able to see through this screen? Right, this famous thing, every kid knows this. One of the lamed vav. He's one of the 36 tzadikim. Right, so he said there's never less than 36 tzadikim in the world, right, that can see the Shekhinah every day. He says, praised are those that wait for him, right? Lamed vav b'gematria tlasim v'shisahava. So, I'm sorry, lamed vav loi really is the Gemara. It says lamed vav, but what it means is docha choiche loi. Loi is lamed vav b'gematria tlasim v'shisahava. So there's 36 that are always looking towards the Shekhinah every day. So you see that there's at least 36. Like kasha hoda aili bebar, hoda aili beloy bar. No, he's talking about those that can go in with permission, and the other ones are talking about they can't get in without permission, right? So the ones that can go in, that have an open door policy, that's very few. The other ones get to the Shekhinah, but they have to knock. Okay, b'shas petiros and mahin nomrim. So what did they say when they were leaving the Beis HaMikdash? So we said that they said Yoifi l'cha mizbeach, Yoifi l'cha mizbeach, and Rabbi Eliezer said l'ka'u l'cha mizbeach, l'ka'u l'cha mizbeach. So the Gemara asks, how come mishtat Shem Shemayim v'dover acher? They're combining something else with dover acher, meaning mizbeach and Hashem. You're not supposed to do that. V'tanya kol mishtat Shem Shemayim v'dover acher. If you combine something else together with Hashem's name, you're going to be uprooted from the world. Shenemar bilti l'Hashem levado. Hashem, only Hashem. Meaning, when you're praising things, you have to praise only Hashem. You can't mix anything else in. So when it says Hachi Kamer Le, Anachnu Moedim Ulecha Anu Mishapim Le, Leka. I'm sorry. Leka Anachnu Moedim Ulecha Anu Mishapim. To Hashem we are Moedim. We thank or admit Ulecha Anu Mishapim. And to you we praise. Leka anachnu moedim ulecha anu mekalsin. To Hashem we're moed to you, and we sing. Mekalsin means and we sing to Hashem. So it's not talking about anything else. It's talking only to Hashem. Yeah. Okay. So this is a longer sugya. Okay, it's not so hard. So we'll leave it here and then we'll pick it up again tomorrow. Okay. Okay. A good tavach, and stay safe with the hurricane.
Yeah. Well, I looked over everybody.
All right. Zagazant. Yeah.
Rabbi Stein, I have a question for you. You got a second?
Yeah, I got a second. Yeah, I got to get in the car and go back to Morocco.
I was on Chesed Shel Amos call on Thursday where I had to do cleanup afterwards, where there's a ton of blood. Someone told me that there's an inyan to tuck your tzitzis in when it's dam that came out of a person while they were dying. Is there such a thing?
I never heard that, but with these things, anything can go. But I never heard it. Never heard something like that.
Okay.
I know that if the person was killed by a non-Jew, then they don't even need a tahara.
Mm-hmm. No, this was a place where a person died from a hemorrhage, and unfortunately they bled all over. But no tucking in the tzitzis for that or any of that, correct?
The what?
I don't have to tuck in my tzitzis at that kind of scene, or
I never heard of doing that.
Okay.
Yeah. All right.
Well, that's over, everybody.
All right. Good luck.
Zag gesund.